the daughters of the moon, in the village of Ijaye, nestled between the hills and a winding river. There was an ancient belief that the moon was the guardian of all women. The elders said that when a girl reached a certain age, the moon would choose one of them to become its daughter, a protector of the village and a guardian of the sacred light that guided them through the darkest nights. This selection was a mystery, but all young girls waited for the moon's call, hoping it would choose them. Zuri was a girl of about 16 years, with skin the color of dark honey and eyes as bright as the evening star. She had lived in Ijaye all her life, and everyone who knew her spoke of her grace, her beauty, and the kindness she extended to all. But Zuri had always felt something different, something deep inside her that longed for more than the ordinary life of a villager. She often wandered to the river's edge, lost in thought, staring at the full moon, as if waiting for it to answer her silent questions. Her father, Chief Odun, had raised her with love, teaching her the customs of their people, the weaving of cloth, the making of pots, and the tending of the fields. Yet, despite the honor of being the chief's daughter, Zuri felt a restlessness that only grew with time. The elders would speak of the moon's blessings with reverence, but Zuri's heart stirred with something else, curiosity and yearning for something more than what she could see around her. One evening, just as the sun dipped behind the hills and the first stars began to appear, the village gathered for the full moon ceremony, an event where the elders and young women alike would dance and give offerings to the moon. It was an annual tradition, but this year, Zuri felt a particular pull to the festivities, her heart beating fast in anticipation. Perhaps tonight, the moon would choose her. The women of the village, dressed in their finest attire, brightly colored cloth woven from the fibers of the sacred palm trees, gathered in a circle beneath the ancient baobab tree. The air was thick with the scent of burning incense, and the rhythm of drums echoed in the distance. The young girls danced, their bodies swaying in a harmonious blend of grace and strength, moving as if they were part of the night itself. But as Zuri danced, she felt a sudden shift. The air grew cooler, and a strange silence seemed to fall over her. She paused, her eyes lifted toward the sky, and there, before her, in the full glow of the moon, a figure emerged, an old woman, her hair silver like the light of the moon, and her eyes shining with a wisdom that spoke of ages past. The women around her continued to dance, unaware of the presence that had appeared. Zuri, however, was transfixed, unable to move, her heart racing. The old woman's voice, soft yet powerful, reached her ears. Zuri, the old woman called, her voice carrying the weight of the heavens. The time has come. You have been chosen. Zuri's breath caught in her throat. She could barely comprehend what was happening. Was this real? Was she dreaming? The old woman smiled gently and beckoned for Zuri to approach. Come, she said. The moon calls you, my child. You are to be the next daughter of the moon, chosen to protect the village and carry the wisdom of the ages. But there is a great price for this gift. Zuri, still in a daze, stepped forward. Her mind raced with questions, but her legs moved on their own, as if drawn by an invisible force. The path you must walk is not an easy one, the old woman continued. You will be gifted with the power to protect, to heal, and to see beyond the veil of this world. But in doing so, you will become something beyond human. Your life, though long, will not be the same as those around you. You will live in the shadows of the moon. and the world will never be the same for you again." Zuri's heart beat faster. She had always yearned for something more, something greater. But now, standing before this mystical figure, she felt the weight of the decision settling in. To accept this gift would mean leaving behind her old life, her family, her village, everything she had known. "What must I do?" Zuri asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and excitement. The old woman placed her hand on Zuri's head. "You must leave the village and journey to the sacred mountain where the moon's light is born. There you will receive the blessing of the spirit and your transformation will begin. But know this, once you take the moon's light into your soul, you will never return as you were." Zuri hesitated. She loved her family and her village dearly, but the pull of destiny was too strong to ignore. "I will go," she said, her voice steadied now. "I am ready." The old woman nodded, and with a final, knowing smile, she vanished into the night. The moonlight shimmered, and the village seemed to exhale as if releasing a breath it had been holding for centuries. The journey to the mountain, Zuri's journey, was long and filled with trials. She walked through dense forests, crossed rivers that seemed to whisper a name, and climbed steep hills where the air grew thin and cold. Along the way, she met spirits of the land, creatures of myth that spoke in riddles and gave her cryptic advice. But it was the moon itself that guided her steps, shining its light like a beacon in the dark. As she reached the base of the sacred mountain, she found a place where the earth seemed to hum with energy. The rocks glowed with a faint, ethereal light, and the air was thick with the power of ancient spirits. Zuri climbed to the peak, where the moon's light was said to touch the earth directly. There, she met another figure, an old man who'd seen both of this world and beyond it. His skin was as dark as the night sky, and his eyes sparkled with a fire that burned from within. "The moon calls you, but it asks for your heart in return," the man said, his voice deep and resonant. Zuri, standing before him, realized that her life was no longer in her own hands. The moment she accepted the moon's gift, she would be bound to it forever. The transformation. Zuri knelt before the old man and with a silent prayer held out her hands. As she did, a beam of moonlight descended from the sky, enveloping her. The transformation was unlike anything she had ever imagined. Her body shimmered, her hair turned silver, and her spirit was lifted into the stars. In that moment, Zuri became one with the moon. She could feel its power coursing through her veins, the weight of its wisdom and its pain. She was no longer just a girl from Ijaye. She was now part of something much larger, a force that guided and protected her people from afar. When Zuri returned to the village, she was no longer the girl who had left. Her appearance had changed, her beauty now otherworldly, and her eyes glowed with the light of the moon. The villagers gathered, awestruck and fearful of what they saw. The once bright and gentle girl had transformed into a being that transcended time itself. She shared her new role with the village, explaining that she was no longer just a daughter, but a protector, a guardian of the moon's light. Her journey was one of sacrifice, and she could never return to the life she had once known. Though Zuri had become a powerful force, her heart still longed for the village and the people she loved, but now she understood her true calling: to watch over them, to guide them in times of darkness, and to keep the memory of her humanity alive in the moonlight that would shine upon them forever. Conclusion: The tale of Zuri, the daughter of the moon, became a legend in Ijaye, told from one generation to the next. It was a story of sacrifice, of choosing destiny over desire, and of finding strength in something greater than oneself. The villagers no longer feared the moon but revered it, knowing that Zuri, their daughter, watched over them, always shining brightly in the night sky.